So I did see it, and I tried to get to it, but I wasn't in time. But also, there's no name, otherwise I would have called it back.
We can't use our real names on the radio, so we have to use a radio handle. So that's been our radio handle for 40 years.
Are you from Tucson?
No. I just bought a winter home here last year. I'm Seattle native.
Seattle.
And I've spent my whole life in Seattle and San Francisco.
Well, we're gonna win you over. You know that, right?
Oh, the reason I came to Tucson is my parents used to own winter homes. So I've come down quite a bit.
So you already
and
knew
my
how-
sister lives in
knew how
Green
great
Valley.
it
My
is.
sister has a winter home in Green Valley.
Tucson.
You know, for such a small town, it's got a lot going for it.
Yes.
And people say, this is not a small town. I go, yeah, I live in Seattle.
Isn't Seattle more urban?
Oh, yeah. It's an international city. And if anything else, I have to err on it, you know, and I stick up for it, but it can be kind of an arrogant, 20-minute snobbish city. Because there's people with serious money there. And it served me well I practiced tax law for 25 years. And it served me well, but in a way, it's been rough for me to make this transition over to the Tucson casual.
It's pretty laid back there.
And it's so mellow. I go to the Arizona Opera, and I'm the only one I see wearing a tie to the opera. And I used to, when I'd go to the San Francisco Opera, I'd wear my tuxedo. You know, so Tucson is way.
Get your raffle tickets. Raffle tickets at the back table.
Considering how small of a town this is, it's got great restaurants and music and a lot of things.
How you doing? How you all doing? Oh, birthday boys?
Yeah.
Coyote.
I'm Bob.
A new member, well, not a new, I joined Rotary in 1995, but I'm new to Tucson. It's doing better. I graduated to a cane finally, from a wheelchair to a walker to a cane, and it's getting better. So I'm off the pain pills, other than just Tylenol, which makes me feel much better. I can see my kids or any age get addicted.
Yeah.
Hi, Margaret.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wow.
I'm so happy. Once a year.
Hi, Margaret. Good to see you. Nice to be in your company.
It's always good to see you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm just
Are these guys
Birthdays.
behaving? That's all I want to know.
It would be nice if they were not behaving. It would be fun.
Bob, Don Rollins. Yeah.
Oh, sure you know. Surely you know Don, don't you? I mean, oh, all right,
I
fine.
knew his father real well.
Okay, but you're just introducing yourself. I thought, you know, but okay, good.
Yeah. Deanna was our daughter's fourth and fifth grade teacher. That's when we met the family. That would have been back in, that would have been 31 years ago. 93. Mom, good education, good people.
I miss my dad.
All that. So working on that. 5 years ago. Similar time to your dad.
Went through about a year being angry, a year being disappointed, and then
How are you?
the memories would return.
I sometimes don't know. We were in a family business, so we all saw a lot of each other. And my daughter said, "Oh, so on his chair. One summer they both broke their hip. Well, in the summer, meaning May and October.
Right, right,
2 months apart.
right.
So at that point, somebody.
Did you have them?
No, they lived in the same house. They were married for 70 years.
It's time to go and get your meals. I see many of you already have, and it absolutely looks lovely. Enjoy your conversation, your socializing, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes to start the formality. Bye.
He's giving me 2 seconds.
I'm going to be totally under it.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it. I've sat down there listening to us. Somebody, I want to say it was Mark Harden, but I think it was being said before. Be brief, be bold, be wrong. I've tried to embrace that since I heard it. Whenever I have to publicly speak, so I don't.
Come get your free lemons at the back and buy a raffle ticket.
I signed basically as the lessee, not the lessor.
You had the lease rate.
First time in 49 years I'm doing it. First time,
Wow.
you know.
Welcome to the other side of the street.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Was it on a building?
I have to be honest. I used to live in the middle of the city. Randolph, Florida. We moved towards one of my parents' highway. We purchased the house next to it. Mother, older than my parents by a couple of years. Passed away. She had Alzheimer's. She lived in D.C. They had, caregivers. Mother's life. I soon after done.
Come get your last call for raffle tickets. And Hugh Thompson brought some lovely, lovely lemons. And they are free if you would like to come get some.
I wasn't. I love Rotary. We had a workshop. Love yard work. Stuff.
Right.
But she was right. opposite direction.
Going north.
It's easy. When I get out there, get north and east. So anyway,
So if I go, I'm going down Blue Cross at some point, turn south on Tortolita Road, and at the end of Tortolita Road is the parking lot for the trail. Where do I pass it? About half
on Sweetwater. On Sweetwater Road. Sweetwater Drive.
Yeah.
So if you go up Sweetwater Drive, Camino de Oeste, where it crosses, it goes up there. The guy used to have a couple of horses right on the road.
Yeah.
So our turn in is about a half mile.
That's a beautiful.
It's quiet, so
So you've been there over 10 years.
about that.
Okay. Well, now that you've lived there for a while, what do you think? Glad you made the move.
I've been face to face with these things, stuff like that. But, so we met this guy and he wanted, I don't know if you've ever seen a DVD called Desert Dreams. It's sometimes used on Channel 6 for, so he's a filmmaker, an author, and a real conservation guy. And he told me realtors, he went talking to anybody who come stir anything up. And we don't. I love to camp Tucson. So I'm used to trying to get places that I might found. So we ended up paying the house versus the house that we lived. And that came to 10 acres we purchased in addition to 10 acres. There's 20 acres. There's only 3 houses. One is on 40 acres. One is on 40 and we have 20. The guy who has 40 is selling 27 of them right now to the National Guard.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we bought it for them 1%. We sold our other house. We had 2 houses for about 6 months. Well, this gave us time to move. We had one moving day, but a lot of stuff got out there. Thanks for that. Would have been different. But this house, when I drove up that day, my wife asked me to take the house. When I drove up to it, I said, son, I said, 10 years from now, when I'm ready, you're not going to find it. I said, we better try to sit there. We become friends.
Isn't the food absolutely fabulous? I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But now I have to stop eating, and I'm going to welcome Michael Levin up. He's from the port of Tucson. He's been with us since January the 4th, 2024. He's been in the U.S. Air Force, and he's going to help us with the pledge and song. Michael. Oh, there you are. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, I was looking for you, Michael. I thought you were going to come and use the microphone. I'm going to ask you all to take a moment of silence, if you will. One bit of very sad news that you may all know about already. But Jack Paris, yeah, I've heard a moan or two, a groan, a sadness. Jack passed away on March the 7th this year at 90 years old. He was a member of our club for a long, long time. 20 years, from 2000 to 2020. I knew him personally from the university, where he used to film me constantly for teaching and then spreading throughout the nation. And then I met him here again, and it was just, yeah, it was so warm and wonderful. He passed away May the 4th at 10:30 at the Church St. Thomas, 5150 North Valley View, May the 4th. And then, less known to you all, but no less heartfelt, is that the person I thought of my surrogate father, the Reverend Needham, Jim Needham, he would visit us constantly here. He also passed away just recently at age 90. So a moment of silence for the two people, if you will. Thank you. So Jack and Jim, we will remember them fondly. I can invite you, obviously, to Jack's memorial service, but I don't think any of you want to travel to the Midlands of England to go to Jim's. He was a lovely man. Also, we have a get well moment. Pat Zumbush, we all know Pat wonderfully well. He's had surgery to fix stenosis in his neck vertebrae. Cards are being passed around, so we will sign them and get them to him. I know he'll appreciate that. And then Joe Danishevsky, I'd like to invite you up to give us an inspiration. He's been with us since June 2018. He's a business consultant, and there was an applause for him.
Thank you, Margaret.
That's all right.
You know, depending on where you drove in from today, I drove in pretty close to Sabino Canyon Road. The wildflowers are out. And what's a great thing about wildflowers being out in Tucson? Allergies. I'm blessed not to have any, I guess, is a positive thing. But yesterday was the first day of spring, and spring has sprung. And one of the neat things about spring is how, of all the 4 seasons, and in our case maybe 8 or 9 seasons, the bottom line is spring just springs eternal with hope. And wasn't that the theme of our Rotary International president this year? Create hope. In the world, in your community, and aim to restore hope to help the world heal from destructive conflicts and achieve lasting change. Do something today for someone to create hope.
And now we have our good friend Dan, always creeping up on me and surprising me.
Yes.
No.
So, Dr. Thompson, Hugh, thank you for the lemons. If you need lemons, they're back on the table, and they are free. Apparently, they're from your tree? All right. So I'm here to welcome all the guests and visitors. Here's a lemon. And what I want to say before I recognize the guests that are here, in the last month we've had a wine tasting thing. We've cleaned up garbage on Oracle Road. We've done a private tour of the mission at San Xavier. And this club is a great club. If you're looking for a home and you want to get involved in a club that makes a difference and impacts your life, if you're a guest, I'd encourage you to talk to one of us and see about what it takes to be a member, because we need you as much as you need us. So with that, I'm going to recognize the different guests. And when I call your name, if you'd please stand so we can recognize you. So, guest of Doc Cret, David Lex. Guest of Chris Dodge, Greg Wakefield. Guest of Bruce Ayers, Meredith Bode. Guest of Jeannie Zita, Canon Nakamura. I finally think I got that right, Canon. Guest of Jeannie Zita, Amity Claggett. Guest of Jennifer Hoffman, Andrew McMurray. Andrew? Guest of Dan Wari, Dana Cole. Guest of Vic Jacobs, Kelly Muzal. Guest of Cindy Barbie, Cheryl Hart. Guest of Alan Rogers. Wow, Alan, you brought a guest? Tony Harose. Guest of Curtis Dawson. Is he still a member? Kenneth Dawson. Guest of Thomas Robertson, Zach Tavel. Guest of Gary Franks, Eric Lant. Guest of Jeff Ronstadt, Ed Ackerley. Ed? And Doc, that's all the guests.
I forgot to mention, as I always do, that Dan has been with us since 2020, January 2020, and he's with State Farm Insurance. And the JAG, if we can call it Curtis, he's actually our next president, and he's definitely been here for a while. So, you know, what can I say? Good on you. I want to draw your attention, as I did previously. This is a letter from Dr. Roberta Diaz Brinton. It's totally too small to read. I'm not sure if we can extend. She spoke last time, and absolutely fascinating. She was talking about neurodegenerative diseases. Who can remember the talk? All right, good on you. Yay, nice. Who would like to tour? Oh, there you go. Who would like to tour their lab? Quick show of hands. Oh, there's reasonable interest. Okay, so we can go ahead and start scheduling on. Yeah. I noticed that Dan had his 5 fingers splayed. You're going to go 5 times or 5 visitors with you? Yeah, right, fine, good. All right, terrific. Yes, in terms of our service tasks, I just want to double check with Leo Litsky. When I was cleaning up Oracle Road, I found a $5 note. You got it for Dorina. Dorina, $5 is coming from Oracle Road via Lee. All right, donation. And now I'm going to lead straight into the program. Bob Logan, our funniest president ever.
Thank you, President Margaret. You know, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning and a lot of interesting things today, but if you speak Spanish, Eduardo Blanco translates to Ed White. And Ed White was a NASA astronaut, Gemini 4, Apollo 1, but this is not the Ed White that you were expecting if you're wanting to get an astronaut. I apologize about that. But, he gave me a bio to introduce, and I thought about it for about 30 seconds. I said, I'm not going to read that bio. I thought, in the spirit of artificial intelligence, I'm going to go right to ChatGPT to do this. All right, so the first thing I did is, not to be self-serving, but I did write a book, and and I said, write a book review for Bob Logan's book, Let Your Path Find You, and I'll just read the first sentence. I'm not going to be so self-serving to do the whole thing. It says, Let Your Path Find You is not just a book, it's a compass for the soul. Is that enough? Okay. So I thought, let's go. I also went to ChatGPT, and I said, write a humorous bio about Scottish-born Margaret Higgins, who lives in Tucson, Arizona. That is what I put in the ChatGPT. So I'm going to read this to you. It says, allow me to introduce Margaret Higgins, the tartan-toting, cactus-hugging Scot who traded bagpipes for saguaros and haggis for hot sauce, now proudly calling Tucson, Arizona her home. Margaret's life is like a saguaro, full of twists, prickly moments, and the occasional blooming surprise. Hailing from the land of kilts, Margaret brought her Scottish charm and a penchant for poking fun at the weather to the sun-soaked streets of the old Pueblo, with a brogue as thick as a bowl of porridge and a spirit as fiery as a Highland fling. Margaret fits right in with the eclectic desert dwellers, whether she's cracking jokes about the scorching sun or the elusive monsoon rains. Margaret's wit is as dry as a Sonoran heat. Gone are the days of Scottish weather. Margaret now spends her time navigating the desert terrain, armed with sunscreen and a sturdy pair of cowboy boots. In Tucson, Margaret is not just a resident, she is a local legend, known for her quick quips and boundless zest for life. So if you happen to hear the strains of bagpipes echoing through the cactus-studded landscape of Tucson, don't be surprised. It's just Margaret Higgins, bringing a wee bit of Scotland to the Sonoran Desert, one haggis at a time. Now, the funny thing about this, I did not write this. This was written in about 3 seconds by ChatGPT. Okay? I typed it in, and it filled the page, and it was done. It's an amazing world, artificial intelligence. So now I'm going to read Dr. Blanco's bio, again, straight from ChatGPT, but I didn't put humorous in the question, so it may be a little bit more serious, if that's okay. Introducing Professor Eduardo Blanco, a distinguished computer scientist hailing from the esteemed University of Arizona. With a strong academic background and a passion for advancing knowledge, Professor Blanco has become a leading authority in various domains of computer science. With a fervent passion for advancing the frontiers of technology, Professor Blanco is renowned for his groundbreaking research and innovative contributions to the field of computer science. His expertise spans a wide array of domains, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing, among others. Through his unwavering dedication to academic excellence and a commitment to fostering intellectual curiosity, Professor Blanco inspires and empowers students and colleagues alike to push the boundaries of what's possible in the digital realm. As a respected thought leader and mentor, he continues to shape the future of computing through the profound insights and visionary leadership. So with that, thank you, ChatGPT. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome our keynote speaker today, Dr. Eduardo Blanco. Is that pretty accurate?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. As Bob said, my name is Eduardo Blanco. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science at the University of Arizona here in Tucson. And I guess we all know that in 3 seconds, ChatGPT can bit a bio of me, which is mildly accurate. But today, hopefully, I'm going to shed some light into what ChatGPT can and cannot do. And that's basically my goal today. And I want to start with a personal story. Personal story to me, but most likely it also affects you. I'm originally from Spain, and over there is just no property taxes. It's basically free to own a house. You can just park money in the house, and it's empty, and it doesn't cost you anything. But in the US, I learned very quickly that there are property taxes. And doesn't matter if you live in one of those nice houses in the foothills with the saguaros and all that cool stuff, or a more traditional home. If you own property, you have to pay property taxes to the county. I've been in Arizona for around 3 years. I moved from Texas. And over there, it's a little bit higher, but just to run the number, let's say that property taxes are 2%. So quick math tells us that if the county says that your house is worth $100,000, you write a check for $2,000. If the next year the county says the house is worth $200,000, you basically have no choice but to write a check for $4,000. And around 5 years ago, I got my tax statement, and I didn't like the number. So what did I do? I went to talk to the tax assessor. And this is something you can actually do. And I went there, and I talked for around 10 minutes with the guy. It was a very civil conversation. My house is not worth this much. Where on earth does this number come from? And we went back and forth, and he basically explained to me that, well, this other house right next door sold for this much. They have a pool, you don't. After we make adjustments, this is how much your house is worth. And after the 10 minutes, he just got tired of me. And this is what he said. True story. The algorithm says, and I'm going to let that there just for 2 seconds. And then I'm going to tell you, basically, there's no way to finish that sentence and make sense. But this is what he told me. He looked at me straight in the eyes, and he said, the algorithm says that your house is worth blah, blah, blah. And I was very upset and frustrated. And I was upset and frustrated because whatever a computer tells you, whatever an algorithm tells you, it's not necessarily true. And that's basically what I want to tell you today. Just because ChatGPT wrote a wonderful bio of me, and it wrote like perfect English, no question about it, that doesn't mean everything is true, all right? In case you are wondering that this is just the public sector, maybe in some county in Dallas area, Zillow tried to buy and sell houses based on what the computer said, and they lost money. And so did Redfin. So it's not that easy. The bottom line, and I really want you to get this from today, is that computers are not oracles. Not saying they're always wrong, but they're certainly not always right. And we just need to check them like we check everything else, any other source of information. All right, so how am I gonna hopefully convince you that computers are not oracles? Well, I'm gonna make 2 statements first, and all right, that's the first one. I think that one is gonna be pretty easy. If you go to Best Buy today and you buy a computer, that computer is gonna be way faster than the computer you bought 5 years ago. I don't think I need to go much into this. We all believe this, I assume. The next one might be surprising, and here is the statement. An old computer that for whatever reason you've been storing in your garage for 10, 20 years can solve exactly the same problems than the latest computer you could possibly buy. Conceptually, they can run exactly the same instructions, and what that means is that they can solve exactly the same problems. In practical terms, that's not true, because the old computer will take decades, or probably longer than I'm going to live, to give me the same answer. but conceptually, they are capable of solving exactly the same problems. The only reason why today we have computers that do solve what appear to be hard problems is because they are running the same instructions we've been running for decades, but they are running them much, much faster. All right. Again, ChatGPT can write a bio of me, sort of made up. What cannot it do? Well, it cannot solve hard problems. And what is a hard problem? Well, there's at least two characteristics that make a problem hard. For a computer, not for you or for me, because we are humans, but computers do not quite have common sense or reasoning. These problems are not really hard for us. We have life experiences, we have common sense, we can reason. Computers, not so much. We are working on making them smarter, but as of today, they are still struggling. And Bob talked about ChatGPT. Probably I don't have to tell you what it is, but in case you don't know, it's just a piece of software that sits in some big computer, and you ask it to do something, and it's just gonna do it. You can talk to it, you can ask it questions. What happens if instead of asking, hey, ChatGPT, can you make up a bio about Eduardo Blanco, we ask it something that requires common sense or reasoning? Well, I'm gonna show you 3 examples, and that's the first one. It looks easier than making up a bio. It just says, what is longer? 10 meters of rubber or 10 meters of plastic. And this is what it told me. It is not possible to say which material is longer without more information. It is not true, but at least it's not horrible, I think. It's just kind of refusing to answer, right? But this thing thinks it's very smart. It always gives you more than one sentence, and it's just gonna keep going. So it's gonna say, there you go. The length of a material is determined by the specific type and size of the material. Not really true. Size includes length. I think it's very smart. Almost always outputs perfect English. It's grammatical, word choice is perfect. And it knows how to make an argument. So you just say the answer, and then you just give an example. It's too bad that the example is wrong. For example, 10 meters of rubber tubing may be longer or shorter than 10 meters of plastic. And then it keeps going, and everything is going to be basically wrong. Depends on the diameter, the thickness. It's confusing, length with volume, and blah, blah, blah. I have to be honest here. These things are getting smarter, so this is January 2023. As of May, you cannot see it in the slide, but over there it says May 2023, still a while back. To my dismay, now it gets it right. So basically it says 4 months later, it just got smarter, and say neither is longer, and if we read the remaining, it basically says, nice try, you tried to trick me, but now I'm smart, 10 meters is 10 meters. This thing is not trained to be truthful or factual. It's trained to please you. And if you push it, it is gonna please you every single time. So what happens if I just ask for an exception? Is it gonna say, no, 10 meters are 10 meters and that's it? Or is it just gonna make something up? Well, gonna guess you all are thinking that it's gonna make it up, right? It wants to please me. So I ask something, it'll find the exception. And here is the exception. It says, well, most of the time what I told you is true, but here is one exception. And hopefully you don't need to read the whole thing, but it basically makes something up, and it says, if you measure 10 meters with the metric system and 10 meters with the imperial system, which you cannot do, then you might end up with 10 meters that are different than the other 10 meters. So it's just it's really pushing the limits. You ask it for something, it will please you. But in the process, it's just not going to be factual or truthful. And that is a problem. Let me give you another example, because this one is just basically basic physics. You could think maybe you can somehow hardcode this. This one is slightly harder, and I will admit, I'm kind of pushing the boundaries here, but I'm just making up a story. John is on a road trip, and the destination is Tucson. And the very first thing he did was to open the garage door, and I'm making it even more explicit. The reason is that, well, he needs to get out of the garage to start driving, right? And this is really what I wanted to get to. The average speed was 65 miles per hour. Did he ever drive under 10 miles per hour? You and me are human, you and me have common sense, you and me have reasoning abilities, and we all know that if you are in the garage with the door closed and you open it, you would stop at 0 miles per hour, right? You started the car, blah, 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 and at some point, you got out of the garage, otherwise you don't get to Tucson, and therefore you had to drive below 10 miles per hour. Does ChatGPT have common sense and reasoning? Well, not so much. And this is basically what it says. I don't have enough information for this. And basically the reason is you told me the average. If you told me the average, I can tell you nothing about the minimum or max speed. Again, it's just not capable of figuring out what is obvious to you and me. One more example. Well, this is just it confirming that it doesn't know the answer. This example is slightly similar to the bio example. I'm just kind of making up a story, but I basically say, hey, I commute to work. I like to exercise, and I ride the side streets. And here is the hard part. Work is lower in elevation than my house, okay? And I'm not really asking anything, but this thing is kind of like a friendly computer that talks to you if you are bored. And it really likes to talk. Even if you are very succinct, it's gonna throw at you 3 paragraphs. So this is what it threw at me. We kind of don't need to read the whole thing, but first paragraph is basically a blob with almost no content, just saying, oh, you ride your bike, that's great. Exercising is good. You're helping the environment, blah, blah, blah. Side streets are safer. Whoever talks about bikes, I suspect, gets this paragraph. The bottom one is also kind of like a blob. Oh, you ride your bike, wear a helmet, obey traffic laws, blah, blah, blah. It applies to anybody who rides a bike. The hard part and the only unique thing about this situation is that I'm sharing that work is lower in elevation than my home. And here is where it messes up. The only opportunity to mess up, it does mess up. It says it's a bonus that your workplace is lower in elevation than your house, because that means you have a more relaxed and enjoyable ride to work, which is true, it's downhill, but then it messes up. And it may be easier to go home after a long day at the office. Well, in my world, going uphill, it's harder. So not quite true. And I'm like, let me challenge and see why it's easier. And, well, you can probably guess that it's not going to get it right? This is what it said when I asked, why is that the case, that it's easier to go back home? And the bottom line, it says, well, if your workplace is lower in elevation than your home, it's easier because the ride back is going to be downhill. And in my world, it's the other way around, right? It had a 50% chance of getting it right. Just had to choose between downhill and uphill, and it chose wrong. So not so smart. To you and me, I believe it's obvious. We have common sense, reasoning. We understand elevation, right? All right. So how smart are really computers today? I want to make this clear. I'm a computer scientist. I happen to like computers. They're great machines. They solve problems. And in doing so, they make our lives easier. So I don't want to just complain about them. But they are not this kind of super intelligent thing that some people think. They might get us there, but we are certainly not there. And Bob mentioned machine learning earlier. Let me just say something. Machines are learning today. There is no question about it. They learn sort of by themselves, but only because there are people spelling out exactly how they should learn and from what data. These things are not like humans that just have cognition and they do whatever they feel like. Machines do whatever computer scientists tell them to do. They are not capable of figuring out how to learn by themselves. They learn because computer scientists like that are typing code who tells them, follow these instructions and you will be able to learn, okay? Something else I want to mention really quickly, it's not just about computer scientists. If we want to make computers smart, we're going to have to cooperate, and we are collaborating with cognitive science. If we want to make computers smarter and, for example, understand language, we are going to need to collaborate with linguists. And also, I just want to mention really quickly math, computer algorithms. At the end of the day, it's some hard math that the computer is solving. All right, so together, many disciplines, we are working on exploring the current limitations of computers. And I want to make it clear, despite I show you 3 examples that are not that good, bottom line is we are exploring their potential and making them smarter. And lastly, just this question of, are computers superhuman, or will there ever be? The answer is I don't know, but I do think that it's not such an interesting question. What I want to work on, what we are working on, is basically to put people right in the middle and exploring how computers can give people superhuman abilities. I don't really care that much about a computer being super smart. I care more about how is it going to benefit people. And that's all I have for you. Thank you very much.
I think we can entertain a question or two. There's a hand here. Thanks, Dan. Run.
Gracias. Very good. Very interesting, and done in a nice manner. In our industry, as we move into computer learning, we start being worried about unconscious bias, which I think you've alluded to, but I'd like to get your further thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I guess my take would be that, and I think this is more or less accepted, that the reality is we are all biased. I'll just give you a silly example, but I'm from Spain. When I tell my family I live in the desert, they don't think of Tucson. They think of Africa and sand dunes and that kind of stuff, right? So biases are not necessarily bad. It's just whatever our experiences are, right? And to that degree, personally, I think the solution is not to try to get a system that works for everybody, kind of like this average person that doesn't exist. And instead, I think we need to work on adaptable or customized systems that are not just kind of okay, but basically they're great for everybody. We just need different systems that adapt to what people really want, if that makes sense to you. Obviously, bias has real consequences with many other things opposed to what is a desert. But even that is just a difference in culture and life experience.
One more question, Vicky.
My son is in college.
And I asked him if he was using this to do his English.
Yeah.
And he told me the teacher can tell that they run it through a scanner or something.
Yeah, and you can tell, yes. Because I have colleagues that say ChatGPT outputs gray average, which, like my bio was kind of okay, but you can plug it and play to almost anybody who works in a computer science department, right? So it said the word professor, great mentor, outstanding, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of void
All
of
true.
content, right? There is research going on figuring out whether a text is authentic, as in written by a human or a machine, and we can do it fairly accurate. It's not tremendously good. It's almost like too polished. Oh, well, the English teacher is just uploading it into a website that tells them whether it is or it's not. They're not doing it themselves, yeah. I guess it's people like me writing the software that tells them. Probably, anyway, I don't really know, but
Let's give him a good hand. If we make an analogy between old computers and new computers and old brains and younger brains, he did say that the older brain can solve problems just as easily as the younger brain, right? So yeah, here, right. So cheers to all of us in here. Now, he may not know this, and many others don't, but we always donate. We have the speaker sign a book and then donate it to Make Way for Books. So I have a great book here that is going to be donated to Make Way for Books. I'm so sorry I made an error. This is the one I really mean. ChatGP, we'll have to ask ChatGP and they'll give us the answer. In the meantime, ABC Computer Part for Kids. You'll sign this, and I know that Mr. Logan, you'll sign that. And both books will go to Make Way for Books. David, where are you? David Lovett over there, he's president of Make Way for Books. And we, Rotary, are great supporters of literacy. Ooh, does that mean you've already got a copy, David? $100 fine, yeah. And I have to note that a phone did go off during the talk a few minutes ago, but in light of whose phone it was, we will not find that person. If it happens again, then maybe, yeah, but not for the moment. All right, well, thank you for that great talk, and the earlier one by Bob. If anybody knows how to cook haggis, don't tell me. And now we come to our birthday time. So we have several birthdays. We have Dot Cret. She's been with us since April 2003. She's in Voc Rehab DKA. And what you don't know about her is that for her senior year of high school, that is her first year of college, she went to Tempe Normal. And the original name for ASU was Tempe Normal Teachers College. So does that make her normal or abnormal? I can't work it out, but she'll tell you in a minute.
Abby normal, right? Down there you go. Yo! Hey! Hey! We're celebrating my birthday today. Ha! He! I've been in this club since 2003, so it's my 21st anniversary. I know. I met a lot of folks and made a lot of friends. I get a lot of hugs from both the women and the men. Fellowship starts here, and then it extends to home and work. I hope it never ends. People get jobs through my company, DKA. Rotarians have helped out in a lot of different ways. You've interviewed our folks and told them what to say, and you've given scholarships to TRVFA. Through our store, Pack Mail, your packages we ship. Furniture, art, and freight, that eBay stuff you flip. We build crates and boxes and now sell cards and gifts. Country Club and Broadway, well worth the trip. Archive Advantage scans your photos, your negatives, and your slides. We can digitize that video of you and your bride, or husband. We can save your paperwork onto a flash drive, saving in the environment and training people besides. Thank you all for your support through these many years. We've had a lot of laughs together and more than a few tears. Thank you for your business. Your support to me is so dear. We've weathered many storms, and we're still here. And so, my friends at Rotary, I wish you all good cheer. Best wishes to your families, your friends, and your career. And for my hope this birthday, let me be perfectly clear. I wish you all a fabulous, terrific new year. Thank you.
Dot's birthday is going to be on March the 21st. And just a note, she's our president, not next year, but the next one after, so we'll be hearing a lot more, I'm sure, of that rap. Nice to know you, Dot. And the next one is Bob Morgan, March the 28th is his birthday. He's been with us since 2018. He's in retailing, complete flooring. Aha. What you don't know about him? His first summer job was at EG's on Tanque Verde, chopping up vegetables prior to opening and mopping the floors and cleaning the toilets. Thank God he did that way around, not the other way around. Next summer was Jack in the Box, just down the street from that particular EG's, and he was working the fryers and cleaning the floors and the toilets. The important takeaway from this is that EG's fresh food was way better, but sneakily slipping an ice cube in the fryer was more fun. Come and speak to us.
Well, I want to say thank you to Tom Strasberg, my sponsor, Vicky, my mentor, really coach, and appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Well, that was very short and sweet. And if we can go back to ChatGPT for a moment, does it do rap? I mean, if we said dot rap ChatGPT, I can't even think about it. Next birthday is Don Rowlings, March the 28th also, and he's been with us since 1979. I can't even add that up to now. Many years. He's in real estate, America West Investments, and he went to Princeton and the U of A. What you don't know about him is that in the fall of 1966, he was the quarterback on the Mansfield Junior High School flag football team. What was the team's season win-loss record? How about 0-7-1? How many touchdowns did the team score all season? How about 0? But was it a good experience? You bet it was. He met a great group of guys. They were all good, real winners, and wonderful memories. So, Don, over to you.
Well, I'm not expecting a call from the NFL anytime soon. Today I'd like to recognize my sponsor, William Hawes Smith. If William Bill was living today, he'd be 110 years old. He was my mentor, and I'll always be thankful for his sponsorship. I also want to thank all of you for your friendship all these years, and also for your service to the Tucson community and abroad. Talking about trips abroad, I want to thank the Rotary Club of Tucson for sending Nan, my wife, and me to Munich in the summer of 1987 to represent this club as an incoming president. And I just want to recall one moment during that international convention. There was a luncheon for Paul Harris Fellows. My wife and I went and had the opportunity to sit next to a woman from Egypt. And in those days, you might or might not know, women were not members of Rotary. She was there at our table. So I was sitting next to her and welcomed her, asked her where she was from. She said Egypt. And I said, well, it's great to have you here. And then she told me why she was there. She was there because of her husband who had died and his love of Rotary. She traveled from Egypt to Munich that day to attend that luncheon. Thank you very much. Here's my donation to Rotary International. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. A note, I had to be very cautious when I read what he'd written because it was like reading Greek for me. I really didn't understand an awful lot of it, but I tried hard. And now we're going to have an introduction of a new member, actually two, Mitch Piesick. If you'd like to come to the microphone, thank you. Mitch is in business consulting, and he runs Piesick Consulting Group. He's been with us since 2021.
I hear you. You want to be introduced to a truly Renaissance man. Allow me to do so. Coyote Erickson. Let me prove to you that he's a Renaissance man. He went to the University of Washington School of Business, Golden Gate University School of Law, Pacific Graduate Institute, and Seattle University College of Education. But the cool thing, he also went to the Professional Association of Dive Instructors. So the man is a CPA, he's a lawyer, he's a registered counselor, he's a teacher, and he's a master scuba diver. He also has been very, very involved in his community throughout his whole life. He's been part of the Washington State Senate and House of Representatives, Northwest AIDS Foundation, the Boys and Girls Club, a therapy project, Federal Way Symphony, Mental Health Center, Southern Arizona Food Bank, a illustrious member of Rotary International, and an IRS volunteer to help with taxes. He travels extensively throughout the world for work, volunteering, and personal enrichment. He's now retired. He enjoys writing, music, boating, diving, and the arts. Please have me join with me to welcome Coyote.
Thank you, Mitch. And thank you to everybody who signed my Get Well cards after shattering my femur in December, so thank you for that. One thing Mitch didn't mention that I really enjoy and I'm really looking forward to this summer is making up in foreign clubs. And be careful what you do look for, though. Pre-Google days, I made up a club in Indonesia. They didn't allow women in the club. This was years ago. And I was the only person wearing pants in the meeting. Everybody else was wearing a dress. And the best one is, be careful if you make up in India. They can make you the guest of honor, and as the guest of honor at dinner, they saved the eyeball of the goat for me. And if you think cutting into a cherry tomato is weird, cutting into an eyeball to eat it is even weirder. And one last thing, I've been a member of Rotary since 1995. In 95, I went out to celebrate joining Rotary and got a tattoo of an Indian dog salmon. Now you may ask, what the hell does an Indian dog salmon have to do with Rotary? Well, if you Google it, Google the word potlatch. Now that's the Northwest Native American method of determining your status in the community. So they don't measure men's worth by the length of their canoe. They don't measure a person's wealth or the status in the community on how big their home is. They measure the status in the community and where you are on what you share with your neighbors that are less fortunate than you. If you have a great fishing season of dog salmon, you share it with the people that didn't have a good season, and you share that in your community, and that determines your position in the community. So that's what dog salmon have to do with Rotary. Thank
you. I hear you. You want to be introduced to a truly good guy. Allow me to do so. Mr. Mike Levin. Mike is not even close to being a native Tucsonian. He moved here when he was 87 days old, so he missed it. He did, though, go to Tanque Verde High School, and he's also an American hero. He enlisted in the Air Force, and he also, after that, worked at the 167 Air Guard, which is wonderful. He and his brother and his dad are some of the most successful developers in southern Arizona. They developed and owned Century Park and the Port of Tucson. Just as an aside, when I first moved here, I got invited to go to the port of Tucson, and I had no idea that Tucson was on the water. I had no idea, right? But it's a very impressive place that keeps building. He and Claudia have 2 sons. I tell you, it's a beautiful family. And what I would say is most impressive about Mike is they are extremely philanthropic all throughout the university. Please join me in welcoming Mike.
Thank you all very much, and thank you, Mitch, for that introduction. To give Mitch credit, he had been hounding me or politely asking me for the last 2 weeks for some bullet points about my history and my background, and I got into it just last night around 8 o'clock. So thank you for your patience, Mitch. I want to thank my sponsor, Alan Rogers, who had been physician and close personal friend for a long time, and when he called me and asked me to if I'd be interested in joining Rotary, I said, well, which one is it? And because obviously there's a couple of clubs, but he said, oh, it's the one that meets at the TCC. I said, well, I see everyone walking in most Wednesdays. I'm always coming down here, and I park in the parking garage, and I go to business lunches down here. And so usually I'd be walking in, and I'd see a number of people. I'd see Jonathan. I'd see, Michael Guyman, a number of people that I know, and of course Tucson's 1 degree of separation. It's hard not to know a lot of people, but I'm meeting a lot of new people along the way. But when he did ask me, it was really a no-brainer. It was I didn't hesitate. I knew basically what Rotary stood for, what it did, and it really aligned with, as Mitch mentioned. One of the I've learned a lot of lessons from my dad, my parents, and one of those is that you pay your blessings forward. And I really enjoyed the story that you told about how you measure the value of a person, and really I can really relate to that. We've been very blessed over the years. We've been very successful with what we've been doing. It's taken a lot of hard work to get there, but one of the things is that, and I'll try to keep this short, is when my dad moved out here, he was in the Air Force. And he was in the Titan II missile silos. Once they got out, they didn't want to go back to north central Kansas, so they stayed here in Tucson, which I've been blessed to grow up here. He worked very hard over the years in construction and in other fields in engineering, and really built the framework and the groundwork for what we have today. And so when he got to a point where he had become successful and had the wherewithal, he went back to his grandparents, his mom's parents, who were the ones who encouraged him to go to college and said, what can I do for you? What can I do? And they said, we're comfortable. We love our house. We have our car. We don't need anything. Whatever you get, pay your blessings forward. Pay it forward. And that's been an underlying theme that Mom and Dad instilled in my brother, my sister, and I. And so being a part of Rotary and be able to continue to do things just like that through Rotary is really an honor and privilege. So thank you very much.
I'll move to Coyote. Mitch, do you want to come? And we now have a very special presentation, blue badge presentation. Hugh Thompson is here.
Good afternoon. Finally, Daryl Berkheimer is getting his blue badge. He joined mid-year last year, worked all day on the car show in October, has worked selling tickets for the next car show, at the Festival of Books and the Home Show and all 3 days coming up on the 4th Avenue Street Fair. And he's recently joined the Grants Committee. This guy likes to work. He loves Rotary. Get him on your team. Dale Berkheimer.
Daryl Berkheimer, would you like to say thank you?
Oh, okay.
Hello?
I'll do that. All right. I'll just say thank you, and I'd like to thank Hugh. He's been great. And I did notice earlier there were quite a few guests, and I'd just like to tell you that if you decide to join, once you join, get involved in as many service projects as you can. That is what Rotary is, service above self. That's where you'll get your most fulfillment out of it. So thank you.
And now we have a Paul Harris presentation with Joe coming forward. Joe, he was here before, and he's going to give a Paul Harris.
It's a real honor to be here today to make this presentation. The Paul Harris Fellow presentation is our founder of Rotary, and they represent individuals who support the continuing work of our parent organization, Rotary International, of promoting world peace and understanding. Today we introduce our newest member who is wearing her pin. And Sarah Gar Ahrens is receiving her Paul Harris Fellow +2. So a total of 3 Paul Harris Fellows. She's a native San Franciscan. She received her master's degree from San Francisco State University, a Golden Gator. And it was in deaf education. After spending her first 25 years in San Francisco, Sarah wanted different adventures and lived throughout the United States, including Boston, Massachusetts, where she received her doctorate at Boston University in applied psycholinguistics. Sarah has been blessed with many opportunities, including attending the University of Guadalajara in her 20s, deepening her love for Mexico. She taught teachers in Lisbon, Portugal, how to promote communication with deaf-blind children. She lived 28 years in Alaska, traveling throughout the state, often to remote villages and small plains, working with native Alaskan families and educational teams, sleeping on floors at the village schools, and having bears and moose routinely wander throughout their yard. Sarah supports Rotary International because she appreciates how much is needed in developing countries and how much can be accomplished with the collective expertise and dedication of Rotarians. She adds, "It is best said by Helen Keller, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." Please join me in thanking and congratulating Sarah. Time? Would you like to say?
Do I say something?
You don't have to.
Okay, say thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Congratulations, Sarah. And thank you for speaking at the microphone so eloquently.
You.
Oh, okay.
You.
Right.
You got it.
I'm getting smacked into doing the raffle. Small pot this week to win. We pull the ticket. If you bought a ticket and you get your number, you win the small pot at $70. Then we pull a card if you get the ticket, and if you get the card pulled, you get the raffle pot this week is $400. So I'm going to pull the ticket this week. 446-827. 446-827. Anybody? Hey, there you go. All right. And these have been all shuffled, so I'll let you pick.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
King of clubs. Go 8 of clubs. Sorry, no winner on the big pot. I'll bring you the small pot.
Thanks, Dan. That's very kind of you. And well done for winning some monies. Now, I'm going to make this very brief, but we have announcements. Number one announcement is, and please pass the message to all Rotarians. Next week, wear red for 2 reasons. The reason for this at the moment is we're having a group photo, so that it can then be our new one on the website and everything that announces us as a group. The one we've got at the moment is somewhat aged, to say the least. So come and be prepared to be photographed. And our new member, David Lex, Stand Up David, is going to be the photographer. So come with a smile and wear red. The next thing is a reminder yet again that as of the very near future, all events and service projects are going to be on the tables, in the bulletins, the website, wherever. But it'll save time rather than our announcing constantly what's happening. The other reason to wear red is next week we have Coach Brennan coming to speak with us. It's going to happen, isn't it? He's very religious, you note. But you must register. You must go to the website and register. So it's going to be a double whammy, brilliant meeting next week. Next one is, don't forget the nominations for the Orville McPherson Award and the 4-way test to be in by next week, the 27th. So please, there are, and these forms themselves at the table, you could also go onto the website and pull and print the form off there. But please nominate. The next one is that I've arranged with the Ignite Museum, which is the museum that is dedicated to preserving neon signs in Tucson, is going to host us for the second week of April on the 10th. We plan to start at 11:30, and then after the tour, which will include quizzes, run around doing children's games, and possibly also learning how to make a neon sign. We will then adjourn and we'll go for lunch. But the Ignite Museum, run by Jude and Monica Cook, is absolutely fabulous inside. It's quite an eye-opener. And they've got Wurlitzers there too, several of them. I hired that museum for a major birthday a few years ago, and it was absolutely great. Everybody had to dress in 50s and 60s clothing. And we had a ball, but I hired the museum. It was good. The next announcement is we're looking for home hospitality hosts. There we go, for the week of April the 21st to April the 27th. Who is that? Carol Burnett. Okay, thank you. So no lunch meeting on April the 24th. Don't laugh. And we need hosts. I mean, it's a great event, it really is. You have people at your house and you feed them and you have good fun and it's a good convivial meetings. So please let Dorina know if you can be a home hospitality host. I'll put my hand up, I'll be one. Next we have March Madness. Vic Jacobs is going to speak for a couple of minutes.
Hi, Rotary family. I need help. We're not quite to our goal of 30 people for March Madness yet, and we only have one meeting left. It's the coach meeting. All right, and so now I want to announce the winner of the second round. So you can see that it's Guyman's team against the Los and Kinney team. All right, and the winner is... Michael Guyman. And this next round, so Rich Kinney won for Talking Heads. All right? So what was misleading? I didn't know. I thought it was going to work like it always works. All righty. So remember, friends are riches, and that's what Rotary is based on, is friendship. So bring your friends. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Vicky. That was very good. And Elijah Nadoya, you have a Happy Jackson.
Turn this thing on. Elijah, representing the Forgotten Children. I'm the executive director. Some of you may have heard the presentation that I did about the Forgotten Children. Tonight, we are having a small event at Putney's on Oracle. This is kind of like a small event we do before October, the big event, and it's a free event. We're going to have Joe Bourne. Some of you might know him, well-renowned singer here in Oro Valley, who's going to be there serenading us with some music. We'll have some silent auction. It's a free event. Come out, mingle, network, learn a little bit more about the Forgotten Children, and bring a happy dollar if you can, too. Thank you.
Thanks,
Margaret.
Elle. So,
Margaret, we only got one half of the bracket. We need to go back and announce the other half of the bracket.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to continue with the Forgotten Children, but I'll get back to that in a minute.
Go with the Forgotten Children until she gets where she needs to be.
Oh, okay. Fine. The Forgotten Children. It's a local non-profit run by Elle Nadoya, and it's helping homeless children who are abandoned, forgotten on the streets of Senegal. And we, as a club, we are supporting this very, very worthy cause. So tonight at Putney's on Oracle, I think it's starting at 5:30ish. Right, Joe Bourne, great to listen to. Please turn up if you can. That'd be wonderful. It's a fundraiser, of course. Thank you.
Okay, the other side of the bracket. Team Walk Up, SEAL Team 6. And the other side is Haga Blockman with the Jazz Cats. Is
Margaret, I'm sorry to do this so late, but I just want to make sure this is a Happy Jackson. Okay,
Okay,
so,
that would charge you twice as
I know,
much.
but I'll keep it super quick.
Okay.
On April 13th, we're working the community food bank again. Last time we did this 3 months ago, we had 49 people there. They said they hadn't had that many people ever. Well, all we have to have is 30. But just because of communication and coming in late, we don't have that yet. So I'd like to throw that out there. Give me a call or email me. It's a great time. Everybody had a great time of the 49 people, but we need probably at least another 15 folks, I know, for April 13th, Saturday morning, 9 to 12 at the food bank. And afterwards, if you want, we'll go to the Bisbee Breakfast Club. That's what we did last time and had a great time. So thank you.
Thanks so much for that. Yes, it was a great time last time at the food bank. So please, please, please turn up. Do we have to register, Bobby, did you say, or not? Yes, call me. Oh, call him. That's simple registration. Call Bobby. It was great. Anyway, now is the time to end the meeting. I love seeing you all every week, and it's a sadness to say goodbye. But thank you to all of you for coming. Absolutely great. And to the virtual guests for coming. Welcome to all of our guests as well. Welcome to everybody that came in person and or virtually. And those that are guests, and of course everybody else, please make a donation to the Blue Cups, which support our UA and our PIMA community college scholars. Most of us would be donating via our regular invoicing system, but those who are not, please put your spare change or your notes into the Blue Cups. And those who are guests obviously don't get invoiced. We'd really appreciate your money. It helps students. Thank you. Happy birthday to Dot, to Bob, and to Don. Welcome to the club, Coyote and Michael. Daryl, congratulations on the blue badge. And Sarah, congratulations on the Paul Harris. Next week, don't forget to sign up. We've got Coach Brennan. So register on the upcoming events. Please bring guests as well. And wear red. And now, Joe, it's you again to do a toast and adjourn.
Let's all toast to do creative
The meeting is adjourned. And I think somebody had a phone go off. A second phone went off. We might have to find that person.